BoJack Horseman is a weird, depressing cartoon that reminds me of every actor I've ever dated because they're sad and alone. Obviously, the show is hilarious or no one would watch it, but most of the show is just this weird glorification of man-child actors and their severe drinking habits, so I don't know. If you enjoy that much truth being thrown in your face, you probably like this show, but it also probably makes you a little sad. I'm Whitney Van Lanningham, and these are the most depressing moments from BoJack Horseman. Number 7. Up until now, this show has been depressing in the self-destructive, washed-up actor kind of way, not in the oh my god, why am I still a person way. But that changes at the end of this episode when the weight of the world comes crashing down on Princess Carolyn as she turns 40.
Need anything else?
No thanks, Laura. Go home. I'll see you tomorrow.
Are you gonna head out soon?
Where else would I go?
Happy birthday, Princess Carolyn.
Thanks, phone.
You are 40.
Out of context, this doesn't seem so bad, but when you watch the whole episode, you realize that Princess Carolyn has been jacked around by some narcissistic loser who all but ruins her career, completely disrespects her, is directly responsible for her almost getting fired, and probably gives more of a shit about his empty bottle of bourbon than he does about Princess Carolyn's feelings. Also, that line about not having anywhere to go kills me. I know that agents don't have feelings, but that shit was rough. Number 6. There's nothing worse than when a weirdo from your past digs you up after 30 years and starts putting expectations on your perceived romantic relationship, right? No? Just me and Charlotte? Well, fuck. Like every ex-boyfriend I've ever had, BoJack Horseman shows up on Charlotte's storefront porch one night because he's tired of the people in LA and just wants to be around somebody real. Whatever. At first, Charlotte is stoked to see her old friend. She hasn't seen him since, Herb's funeral or something? And she tells him she's excited to introduce him to her human husband Kyle and their kids. Of course, BoJack ruins any and all friendship that could have been by trying to make out with her and asking her to run away with him. That's when Charlotte says this.
These last few months have been amazing. I love you
Stop.
and your family and this town. I never wanted to hurt.
BoJack.
I'm sorry I kissed you. I shouldn't have done that. We can pretend it didn't happen. Everything can go back to normal.
No,
but I
no,
need to.
stop.
Please,
No.
please don't make me go back to LA.
I don't care where you go, BoJack, but I can't have you around here. You make me too sad.
This is so typical for BoJack. It almost makes you feel bad for him. Is this dude ever gonna stop projecting his glory days on all of his potential partners? Is he ever gonna stop looking at the world through a mirror? Number 5. Sarah Lynn's life is tragic on her own, but her death has that quiet desperation about it that you really only see in old episodes of Intervention when they tell you that the addict relapsed at the end, or episodes of BoJack Horseman. After BoJack finds Sarah Lynn desperate and suicidal after her breakup with Andrew Garfield, he checks her into rehab. When she leaves, she moves in with him and of course starts throwing tons of crazy parties. Obviously, BoJack and Sarah Lynn end up fucking, which is super gross and terrifying on so many levels. She's looked up to him like a father figure for all these years, and then he sticks his dick in her like she's one of the countless ladies he tocamos y vamos is. When she calms down, he takes her to the Griffith Observatory where it's obvious that a huge bummer is about to happen.
See, Sarah Lynn? We're not doomed. In the great grand scheme of things, we're just tiny specks that will one day be forgotten. So it doesn't matter what we did in the past or how we'll be remembered. The only thing that matters is right now. This moment. This one spectacular moment we are sharing together. Right, Sarah Lynn? Sarah Lynn?
Yeah, dude, she did. I'm not saying it's lethal to fuck a washed up actor with chemical imbalance, but I'm not saying it's great for you either. Number 4. Okay, any scene featuring flashbacks of BoJack's family are super depressing, but the ones in this episode really take the cake. In between snippets of BoJack's current life post Sarah Lynn's death, we see flashbacks of BoJack's grandparents dealing with the loss of their son in World War II. Of course, just getting gunned down by Nazis would be tragic enough for the show, but it also turns out that BoJack's grandmother loved her son Crackerjack way, way more than she loved BoJack's mom.
I don't understand.
Love does things to a person. Terrible things. Beatrice, promise me you'll never love anyone as much as I loved Crackerjack.
I promise I won't.
Why, I have half a mind.
I I wish YouTube would let me show all of the devastating clips in this episode because they really put this brutal conclusion into context. Probably one of the more jarring parts is when she confronts her son's war buddy on the dance floor drunk and tries to make him describe Cracker Jack's death to her. But the moral of the story is, I'd always rather have a bottle in front of me than a frontal lobotomy. Also, this kind of explains why BoJack's mom is so abusive towards him. Number 3. This episode is relatable as hell. You know that little voice inside of you that says this?
Oh, I don't deserve breakfast. Shut up. Don't feel sorry for yourself. What does that do? Get breakfast, you stupid fat ass. These are cookies. This is not breakfast. You are eating cookies. Stop it. Stop eating cookies and go make yourself breakfast. Stop it. Don't eat one more cookie. Put that cookie down. Do not eat that cookie. I can't believe you ate that cookie.
Yeah, that's what this episode's about. The saddest part is what happens in this scene is totally fucked up and true.
Sometimes I have this tiny voice in the back of my head that goes like, hey, everyone hates you, and they're not wrong to feel that way.
I know what you mean.
That voice, the one that tells you you're worthless and stupid and ugly,
Yeah?
it goes away, right? It's just like a dumb teenage girl thing, but then it goes away.
Yeah.
So, here's a little piece of advice. You can take it or leave it, but if you spend all your time comparing yourself to other people, you're gonna end up with a self-esteem hangover the size of BoJack Horseman's, and honestly, babe, you don't have enough emotional Pedialyte and OG Kush for that. I know it's really hard, but try to like yourself. Otherwise, you'll end up telling dick jokes on the internet to teenagers who tell you that you probably don't even watch BoJack Horseman because you're a girl. Number 2. Here we have another super messed up Princess Carolyn episode, because why not make her miserable existence 100 times worse? Throughout the entire episode, we see glimpses of PC's future great-granddaughter telling her class all about how Princess Carolyn always came out on top of her bad days. At the end, we find this out.
Hey, you want to know what I do when I have a really bad, awful, terrible day? I imagine my great-great-great-granddaughter in the future talking to her class about me. She's poised and funny and tells people about me and how everything worked out in the end. And when I think about that, I think about how everything's going to work out. Because how else could she tell people?
But it's fake.
Yeah, well, it makes me feel better.
There's really nothing sadder than pretending that you have a better life than you actually do. That's why I drink a lot of whiskey. Number 1, Time's Arrow is definitely the most depressing episode of the entire series, and it's not hard to see why. This episode takes a unique look at what it's like to be a person living with dementia or one of their loved ones. It's proof that even though people can seem black and white on the surface, most of us are straddling that gray line underneath. It's hard to understand why BoJack still feels love for his mother after the way she's treated him his whole life, but it's easier when you start to see Beatrice as a damaged person instead of a total C-word.
What are we doing here, BoJack?
We're sitting on the back porch and we're listening to your brother play the piano. And we're eating ice cream. Vanilla ice cream.
Yes, that's right. Oh, it's all so marvelous.
Even though Beatrice has been pretty cruel to her son over the years, he still can't stand to see her suffer, which proves that he's still sort of alive somewhere very deep down in there beneath layers and layers of alcohol and trans fats. Let's be real, this whole show is pretty messed up, so I want you guys to let me know which moments were the most depressing to you in the comments. Like and subscribe to Obsev, and I'll see ya in Hollywood.